Let me begin by thanking you for attending this, what we call the pre-budget vote, stakeholder and public engagement program. Today is an important occasion for our department and for our public science system, as we will present our 2026-2027 budget vote in Parliament later this afternoon. The budget vote gives us an opportunity to account for the progress made in the previous financial year and to reflect on the performance and resilience of our national system of innovation in a rapidly changing national and global environment. Indeed, we are continuing to have these two contradictory poles in the world today. As science advances, so also is war. And some of the wars today, by the way, they use science. Like the Israeli government is using AI to bomb people in Gaza. It's a contradictory reality that we must face, that while science has got so much potential to solve so many of our problems, at the same time it can be used for destructive purposes. Which means to be a proper scientist, you must be a scientist for justice, a scientist for peace, and a scientist for development of our countries. Though the world faced some of these challenges that I'm talking about, South Africa still has one of the largest and most advanced public science systems on the African continent. We must, however, continue to strengthen the capacity of our science system so that it can respond more effectively to our country's most pressing priorities. As I often emphasize, in the 21st century, no country can hope to achieve its development goals without meaningfully building its science, technology, and innovation capabilities. For this reason, we must continue to strengthen the ability of our public science system to produce sustainable solutions in response to Africa's racialized, gendered, and spatial inequalities, reducing poverty and unemployment, unlocking new sources of growth, addressing energy, water, and food security, reducing crime and fostering social cohesion, improving healthcare and education, and advancing climate adaptation. Driving innovation in critical sectors such as mining, manufacturing, agriculture, and health, strengthening our capabilities in space science, the digital economy and technology innovation, supporting our country's just energy transition and deepening collaboration of the industry. We also are committed to maintaining support for key science projects such as the Square Kilometre Array and strengthening pandemic preparedness capacity. Mobilizing more funding and resources to expand the impact of key programs such as artificial intelligence, energy security, space, vaccine manufacturing, and indigenous knowledge systems. Now, on the road ahead, for the current financial year, our department's budget allocation is 10.437 billion rand. We will dedicate this amount and other forms of income to expanding the scale, visibility, and impact of our work. I must say, by the way, this is very little money if we are to advance science, technology, and innovation. Firstly, we need to intensify efforts to raise gross expenditure on research and development to 1.5% of the GDP. We are now at 0.61, and we are supposed to achieve this by 2030. That's quite a big ask. and a tall order. But I would urge all our science players, especially the private sector, that they make their own contribution as well to this, so that we reach this level. Embedding science, technology, and innovation at sub-national level while advancing indigenous knowledge systems. This is a very important point. Our science system at the moment is best and almost exclusively organized at national level. We don't have science platforms and structures at sub-national level. For instance, we are in Cape Town Metro here. There's lots of science, technology, and innovation happening here in Cape Town. But we have no structure to bring all these players in Cape Town to be able to share knowledge, share experiences, and also look at their work in relation of the needs of this important region of our country. So that's one of my aims, chair of the portfolio committee this time around, that we all work together to build science structures, provincial level, district level, to local municipal level. Because that's how we're going to harness the system to be able to do what we want it to do. We also do need to deepen transformation within the national system of innovation and expanding science engagement. What we are doing here today, during the day of our budget vote, is part of science engagement. We have science players here who are very important, and we've also got others who are interested in science. Today's program also supports our strategic objective of building, as I say, greater public awareness of the contribution of our public science system to human development through stronger engagement and communication. That is why we chose this venue as well. IZIGO's education department works closely with schools, communities, and special interest groups to develop quality educational programs and resources, which also makes it especially fitting to have the learners as part of our special guests. By the way, our department, when it was formed in 1994, by the democratic government, it was the Department of Science, Arts and Culture then. So we are not in foreign territory when we are in a museum. One of our commitments with a few of our ministers on the continent, which we want to bring together so that we see how we drive this, is to actually create an Africa Research and Development Fund. The difference this time is that our true friends, we will see them by supporting what we have set as our agenda as a continent. Because often, donor-driven programs, there are countries, by the way, in the African continent that do not have a state budget from the fiscus on science. It's entirely dependent on donors. The unintended consequence sometimes is that we then tend to pursue priorities set by donors rather than priorities set by the African continent. It's going to be a big battle of this, but we have to wage it if we are to ensure that science, technology, and innovation doesn't become the new colonizer for the African continent, but it becomes a means and a platform for the liberation and development of our continent. Continuing to strengthen strategic partnerships, especially across Africa and the global south. We are also committed to increasing public awareness about the contribution of our public science system to human development through a stronger public engagement, communication campaign, as well as working together, as I have said, with the African continent and in the global south. In conclusion, I wish to thank all our entities and distinguished partners and stakeholders The progress we'll be highlighting this afternoon has been made possible by your support and your participation in our programs, and by the research work that you are doing in your different spaces. We value your continued input and partnership and look forward to achieving even greater advances in science, technology, and innovation together.